Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Y'all sit down now. No throwing acons in the hall. There's a principal at the high school where I taught, and he would say, "Don't be throwing acons in the hall." And that, if you translated that to English, it would be, "Don't throw acorns in the hall." Everyone all set, cocked, locked? Here we go. Your dial is set correctly to USA Prepares. Thank you for being in class with us today. Nathan is engineering the broadcast in Minnesota. I'm Vincent Finelli. If you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call, 866-582-9933. Telephone listen line, 712-770-9418. Provided by Global Star. It's live when we're live. So between the hours of 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Central Time, you can listen to USA Prepares at 712-770-9418. Thank you so much, Todd Waite of Global Star. Rich Scheben's with us. Welcome, Rich Scheben.
Well, thank you, Vincent Finelli. How's the weather down in your way?
Well, I got to tell you.
Showing up yet?
I got to tell you that, we heard from Jet Propulsion Laboratories that it was going to be a brutal winter. And it probably is in Siberia, but it seemed to skip all around us. It has not been brutal at all. The grass is, I'm looking out the studio window at one of our fields. I can see it just fine. The grass is green. Green with a Green, not brown. Green. Now, normally it would be brown in the winter. It is green. So what causes that? Well, sunshine sometimes, moisture, and warmth. Now, Michael Bloomberg wouldn't know much about that.
No, all you got to do is dig a hole, plant the seed, throw dirt on it, and put water on it, and then you get what you want. It's real easy. Farmers are dumb. Don't you know that?
Well, I know that. I know that because, you have to be dumb to know how to weld. You have to be dumb to know about physics, chemistry, biology. You have to be dumb to know about the weather. You have to be dumb to know how to repair machinery. You have to be dumb to know when to plant, what to plant. You have to be dumb to know economics, finance. You have to be dumb to do all those things. And I'm
doesn't even know that nutrition comes from the soil.
Yeah.
Trust me, gardening and growing crops is a skill set, and it takes many, many years of learning.
I think it was Marjorie Wildcraft that said, if you have less than a total garden failure for 3 years, you have a green thumb. So Michael Bloomberg wants to be president. Now, I need to look up his accomplishments. And I have a feeling they have something to do with money. I think his accomplishments have something to do with money. And but has he invented anything? Has he built anything? Does he feed people? Has he made any products? Or would you call the media a product? Some people would call the media a product, just like they would call a loan a product. If you go to a bank, they'll say, well, we've got a whole bunch of loan products. That means loans with high interest, higher interest, and highest interest. They also have other products for, like, savings accounts. And those are products with very little interest, like a tiny amount of interest, and then less than that, and then almost zero. That's what bankers do. So if you think about high finance, and if you think about bankers, and if you think about some people in the media who are lying and cheating and obfuscating and confusing and leading us to slaughter, those are people who are in the banking and the media industries. So when I think about Michael Bloomberg, that's what I think about. And I think about this is a guy that travels with an entourage of bodyguards, and he says, you can't have a gun. He probably even says he doesn't have a gun. But he's got a small army with guns that follow him around and lead him around. Michael Bloomberg. And by the way, Hillary, I believe she claimed she was Jewish. Her maiden name was Rodham. I believe she claimed she was Jewish, and Michael Bloomberg is Jewish. So I guess the point here is, well, we've had some white guys. We've had a black guy who wasn't even a native-born American. We tried that. So let's try some Jewish guys. Well, and not only that, let's try a Jewish team. A gal, Hillary, and Michael Bloomberg. I mean, we haven't tried the Jews yet, so let's do that. Well, the Democrats really scare me. Hillary doesn't like guns. Hillary doesn't like incandescent light bulbs. Hillary was the one who wanted to crush, according to my research, ammo cans. So the military goes out with these ammo cans. They've got 30 caliber and 50 caliber cartridges in these really brilliantly designed, same ones from World War I. I have one from World War I. The ammo cans. I mean, they are magnificent in mechanical design. They have a rubber gasket. You can put things in them. Water doesn't get in. They don't. The parts in them don't corrode. They last. The cans last a long time. And Hillary wanted to crush them because they couldn't let us have them. I mean, we paid for them, but they wanted to crush them. That's Hillary. Hillary and the light bulb. When was the last time you saw an incandescent light bulb for sale? That's Hillary. So she wants to be vice president of corporate America. Bloomberg wants to be CEO. Pretty scary stuff. Rich, even you wanted to talk about preparedness schools. You want to talk about if Donald Trump hurt us. He actually might have liked what we just said.
Well, what I want to do, I want to give a little presentation, if you will, / rant on consumer confidence and age demographics, and why Bloomberg and Bernie winning would be a total disaster for America and for the little people. Now, we mentioned that Bloomberg belittled farmers and machinists as dumb. I'm sure most of America has seen this by now. And keep in mind that Bloomberg makes more money every year off of China than all the money Trump has made in his entire life. And I've read the article. I have it in front of me. But because of time, I can't read the whole article over the air. And I think you mentioned Bloomberg and Hillary. I think they actually will make a great team. Bloomberg 2011, quote, you ready for this? Young black Latino men don't know how to behave in the workplace. Can you imagine if a Republican said 1/10 of that statement? Now, the reason why I said Hillary and Bloomberg would be a great team is because, remember, Hillary Rodham Clinton said publicly that black men are super predators. So they will make a great team. They feel the same way about minorities. How do you like that? And, there's also an audio out there where Bloomberg was telling Aspen elites that all the crime is in minority areas and defending New York Police Department profiling, which is supposed to be bigoted, racist. And he says, throw them against the wall and frisk them. I'm sure we've all heard that. So what I want to do, Vince, I want to, before I talk about Bloomberg and especially Bernie being very dangerous to the people, I want to talk about, when I said age demographics, I want to make it very clear that the young people are not confident regarding consumer confidence. Big difference between older people and younger people. Basically, young people have been sold a bad bill of goods. For example, 95 to 1 ratio of professors are actually Democrat donors. 90% of college degrees are worthless. Basically, what students are doing is funding the loss of their freedoms and liberties, loss of their freedom of speech. And they're being socially and politically indoctrinated on purpose, because all these people care about is the vote. Now, let me mention, since we talked about Bloomberg, that you started the conversation, let's talk real quickly about Bernie. Well, Schweitzer reveals how Bernie Sanders enriches his own family with campaign dollars. Next article. This just came out the other day. Bernie said that Trump is the most corrupt president in American history. No, he's not. He's the most vetted president in American history. He went through the Ukraine hoax, the Russia hoax, the Mueller hoax. It was basically propaganda, lies, gaslighting, false flags, and hoaxes every 5 minutes on the mainstream media. Politicians are actors, and actors are politicians. There's no difference. All these people are on the take. And I just mentioned 2 seconds ago that when Bernie said Trump's the most corrupt American president in history, that plenty of evidence has been revealed about how he enriches his own family with campaign money. And, of course, here's another article where it says a professor said the only way to save the planet is to let humans become extinct. Now, to the young adults who are paying for universities and colleges, where 90% of your degrees are worthless, this is what you're paying for. You're paying people like this to say the only way to save the planet is to let humans become extinct. You're paying this man's or woman's pension. Now, regarding the Democrat Party in general, it's not just Bernie. You got to remember, it's not the person. The Democrat Party is no longer the party of JFK. It's been literally hijacked by the wealthiest globalists in the world. Barack Obama, it's been proven, he spied on Americans, he armed ISIS, he gave Iran billions of dollars in the hundreds of billions in cash on pallets, covered up Benghazi, used the IRS as a weapon against the people, and sold 20% of our uranium to Russia. Now, in the last 24 hours, there's been some very damning evidence where Obama apparently requested the FBI investigation on behalf of George Soros. It was apparently a personal favor, unquote, to George Soros. This is very disturbing, America. This is treason. This is sedition. This is racketeering. This is espionage. This is all the above, and none of it's good. So going back to my little rant regarding consumer confidence and how the young people has literally been deceived, and that's why their confidence is much lower than older people, because they've been sold a bad bill of goods. And I will be back after the break, folks, to finish up this presentation, hopefully, on the next segment. Thanks for being here.
Rich Scheben's with us. Rich, please continue.
Well, thank you, Vince. So what these young people are seeing, folks, is that everything is against them. That's why their confidence is down. They see public/government schools having more rights than parents. They see themselves being socially and politically indoctrinated all the way down to the age of 4 and 5 with things like teaching little boys how to give BJs and teaching everybody to choose their own sexual identity when they're in the most confused state. They see big tech censorship and surveillance with phony verifications of truth and hoaxes. They see shadow banning, deletions, edits, switching words, replacing definitions, replacing even 5-star reviews with 1-star reviews if it's a book that might influence people and awake them to the distractions dumbing down and divisions of America. We see the de-legitimization, the devaluing, the lack of appreciation and dignity for work, because we're surrounded by hypocrisy and double standards, and everything is based on what group you're in. We have a different set of rules, laws, and accountability based on what group you're in. Merit doesn't even matter. We have more lawyers than the whole world combined. We've had this for years. But yet they practice political correctness and the agenda of the elites, and all they care about, the bottom line is, they want your vote. And they use divide and conquer strategies every 5 seconds. They see pedophilia out of control. This is one of the reasons why birth rates are so low, never mind fertility rates. They see that adult mutual consensual sex, especially regarding pedophilia, is now off the table. They see no savings, debt through the roof, credit collapsing, freedom being very questioned. They see more bureaucracy, violence, brainwashing, militarized fascist that Donald Trump inherited, a lawless, corrupt, untrustworthy, divisive warmongers. They see no burden of proof. Oh, yes, there is. It depends on what group you're in. So the powers that be are literally creating and manufacturing problems and perceptions and reactions and solutions. It's almost like they're following some type of template, blueprint, playbook, or flowchart for destruction. And basically what they're doing is they're following the flowchart of the Marx, Zelinsky, Cloward and Piven, Frankfurt School, Communist Manifesto. So they're making sure that we get not only drunk on the Kool-Aid of political correctness, but if we say anything, we are controversial, extremist, racist, bigot, sexist, misogynist, homophobe, conspiracy theorist, intolerant, violent hater with an anti in front of every word you can think of, and an ism, and phobia on the back of every other word. So we have power that's totally corrupt, and this is one of the reasons why we need practice what you preach laws, because we don't even have due process for most people today. And it's not just Julian Assange and Roger Stone. There's a whole list of them. Schaefer Cox, there's hundreds of them, thousands of them. Detaining people indefinitely, no citizen rights, mass surveillance and censorship, secret wars, secret societies, secret courts. Pedophilia has run rampant, and there's no accountability for elite groups. So when people see that this work has been redefined, they're saying, why do I buy something? Because there's overuse of eminent domain. We're giving away billions of dollars for personal gain and campaign contributions, lobbyists, special interests, PACs, government grants, all superseding free markets and supply and demand, with pork barrel spending, police state being militarized, FBI, CIA, NSA owned by the highest bidder, antitrust monopolies of the too big to fail, the corporate America, Google, Facebook, Twitter, basically all owned by the same people in the hierarchy. So the elite can control the narratives and distract, dumb down, and divide the American people. So when you see even economics, and you look at definitions, you got to question earnings, valuation, deficits, profits, PE and sales ratios, debt leverage, fundamental, general. What does anything matter anymore? And the answer really is no. The only thing that matters is liquidity, printing billions of dollars and bailing out millionaires. And keep in mind, if the junk bond market crashes, folks, and inflation goes out of control, all bets are off. We'll be back after the break.
Rich Scheben's with us. Rich, please continue.
Well, thank you, Vince. And I did a little Economic 101 at the end there, but I want to mention how deceiving a lot of this stuff is. 4 companies basically account for 2/3 of big corporation year-to-date returns. And that's, the Googles, Microsoft, Amazons, Apples. And 40%, keep in mind, of the S&P 500 are zombie companies. So you got to ask, is the economy really that good? If we didn't have Trump, this economy would have fallen over backwards a long time ago. But what a zombie company is, folks, is that if they sell all their assets, they cannot pay their bills. Now, these companies I just mentioned, they're big tech. I want to remind the listeners that of the millions of dollars that went to the 2016 campaigns, 95% went to Hillary Clinton. Silicon Valley area, 99% went to her, to basically create gimmicks like retool algorithms, demonizing and demonetizing the little people. Basically, everything is fake and phony, folks. Inflation rate is so high for the bottom 93% in the category of necessities: food, energy, medical care. And you've heard me talk about my inflation chart, which basically is everything to do with medical care, school tuition, even car insurance. A lot of these things are up because the Democrats are allowing illegal immigrants to get licenses and they don't have to pay for insurance. But if we get pulled over by the police, if we don't have insurance, we get fined, compounded, and maybe even go to jail. And real wages are really not higher. They're really around that zero mark. And when you look at discretionary item spending, whether it be retail or non-store purchases like the Internet, the last 4 months in a row they've been down. Now, there's some exceptions regionally with like restaurants and food and beverages, but we're seeing a global slowdown occurring. And I've given hour-long presentations, as you know, Vince, on our debt situation, household, corporate, government, the whole works. We have a situation in America where law only applies on a sliding scale based on what group you're in. Now, I just want to mention a couple articles here, then I'll come back and finish this up. Nike, basically, they join efforts to block bill designed to protect girls competing against transgender athletes. Next article, ACLU chooses sides, now officially supports discrimination against women. Next article, Dem lawyers swarm Detroit to keep dead voters on the rolls. Folks, two messages here. They don't care about you. They don't care about your group. They care about chaos, infighting, and divide and conquer strategies. And the worst thing that they're doing is lowering the bars of standards and expectations based on what group you're in. And they're doing this for job and for works, for working. So basically, when you do this, you eliminate, like I said, appreciation, value, dignity, legitimacy of work. And when that happens, America is never going to be in a good place ever again. They're all divide and conquer strategies. And the second thing I want to take out of this, these last three articles, is that the lawyers and the judges in America have sold out the little people, because everything is based on what group you're in for political correct purposes in order to divide us. They want us infighting. They want chaos. They want race wars. They want gender wars. They want sexual orientation wars. They want religious wars. And what all this is doing, and when the people don't speak up, remember the emperor has no clothes. And it took a little boy to speak up. And we're allowing ignorance, apathy, indifference, and so much more. All this breeds is cowardice, greed, power, control, self-appointed importance. Competency, proven results, and qualifications today mean less than they ever have. The elite are distracting the little people, which is us, with reality shows. We are totally lawless in America. Our money are literally going into the bread circus distractions, into the dumbing down, and into the divide and conquer strategies. I think I've given thousands of examples of all three over the years. What it boils down to, America, is that patriots, conservative authors, alternative media are now doing the work that the mainstream media, the elite, academia, lawyers, judges, politicians, bankers, FBI, CIA, all intelligence agencies, Department of Justice, State Department, National Security Council will not. The patriots, the authors, and alternative media are doing all the work that our supposed government, who's all on the take for the highest bidder, is now doing. And they're using our money to spend it on cover-ups. We have to refuse these politically correct buzzwords and the theater of equality, fairness, tolerance, and diversity propaganda. All these words have been hijacked by definition to use as tools of division to separate us. These are all subsets under political correctness. The little people, we have no representation, no rights, no restitution, no protection under the law unless we attack each other. It's up to us, we the people, to decide our future. And I have more articles I'll talk about later in the show, but I just want to finish there and see what comments Vince may have, because we're beyond the 11th hour, folks. We either have to wake up, ditch political correctness, say it like it is, use math, objective facts, and lieu of subjective emotional opinion, and get our country back for we the people. Vincent?
Got a couple comments. You mentioned stop and frisk. New York City is the epicenter of that, and New York City doesn't say it's stop and frisk. They say it's stop, question, and frisk. And here's what they do. Here's what Wikipedia says. The Stop, Question, and Frisk program, or the Stop and Frisk in New York City, is a practice of temporarily detaining, questioning, and at times searching civilians and suspects on the street for weapons and other contraband. That's what they do. Who in their right mind would want to go to New York City? Michael Bloomberg, was mayor of New York City. Why would you want to have a guy like that be the CEO of the United States of America? Next thing, Yoko Ono, Y-O-K-O, last name Ono, O-N-O, was married to John Lennon of the Beatles. Yoko Ono says in worldnewsdailyreport.com, headline, Yoko Ono, quote, I had an affair with Hillary Clinton in the 70s, end quote. Dateline, Los Angeles, Yoko Ono shocked reporters yesterday when she responded to a question concerning the presidential run of Hillary Clinton and the possibility that she could become the first woman president of the United States. She said, Yoko Ono said that she admitted laughingly to having a fling with her, meaning Hillary, at the time, and acknowledged that her election would be a great advancement for the LGBT and women's rights in America. She said, quote, Mrs. Ono, we met many times during the New York Vietnam War protests in the 70s and became very intimate, she told reporters. We shared many of the same values about sexual equality, fighting against the authoritarian, patriarchal, male-dominated society we were raised in, she explained. We had a brief romantic fling when I lived with John, meaning John Lennon of the Beatles, in Manhattan, and Hillary was studying at Yale. But eventually, we lost touch, she added. So, Hillary was a lesbian. Another story about Hillary, it says that Hillary Diane Rodham was born in Chicago, Illinois, and was raised in a Methodist family. Her father, Hugh Ellsworth Rodham, was the son of Welsh and English immigrants. Hugh Ellsworth Rodham was an American textile wholesaler. He was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania, the son of Hugh Rodham and Hannah Jones, English immigrants. And then it says, it seems that the family name Rodham, R-O-D-H-A-M, was once Radomski. And her father's family came from the Jewish ghetto in Poland and settled in England before emigrating to the Chicago area. Hillary was, according to a California State Police report, found naked in a bed with a black woman. This was written up and published by the San Francisco Chronicle columnist Herb Cahen. When Bill became president, meaning her husband, Bill Clinton, he sent the FBI to seize the report, but copies had been made and circulated. So, if you wonder what happened to the news reports that you can't find anymore, they get picked up by people who work in the government, allegedly to protect and defend your rights and support and defend and protect the Constitution from enemies both foreign and domestic. So the worst possible combination of people I can think of to run corporate USA would be Bloomberg and Clinton. I've had it with the homos. And I know, Rich, that you think that what people do in the privacy of their own bedroom, is up to them. But I got to tell you, if people are immoral in the bedroom, what makes anyone think that they're not immoral at other times? Hillary Clinton was, according to one of our instructors, on the board of directors of Walmart. Walmart has zoomed from a little tiny store into a massive, massive retail giant and has imported probably more products from China than any other company I can think of. And that's why I call it the Chinese factory outlet. I am really concerned about Bloomberg and Hillary running the show. I mean, you know your guns are gone. You know that. You know that your rights are gone. You know that freedom is gone. Is this what you want? So you need to support Jumpin' Joe, the plagiarist Biden. I got to tell you, the information about Hillary having Jewish heritage is disappeared from the internet. And looks like it's been sanitized. But here's something interesting. This is dailymail.co.uk. This was published in 2016. I can't read these words. But here it is. Headlines. Quote, exclusive. Hillary Clinton once called disabled children at an Easter egg hunt blanking retards. That's spelled, blanking is spelled F blank 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 ING REE-TARDS, and referred to Jews as stupid blanks, and that's spelled K blank 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 S, while Bill, that would be Bill Clinton, called Jesse Jackson a damned blank, and that's spelled N blank 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 R, claims Bill's former lover. Bill Clinton's former lover, Dolly Kyle, claims the Clinton couple regularly used racial epithets in her new book, Hillary, the Other Woman. She writes that Hillary was caught on a recording blurting out the terms stupid, blank, spelled K, blank, blank, E, and blanking Jew, blank. And that would be F blank, 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 ING, and then the word Jew, and then the word B blank, 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 D. So, Bill, and it says, goes on to say, but rumors of Bill's tryst with black women were rampant in Little Rock. One prominent black female newscaster bragged openly about her relationship with the governor. That would be Governor Bill Clinton. although it only indulged in a specific kind of sex. Bill Clinton's three strikes rule incarcerated 2.5 million people, including poor people of color who couldn't afford lawyers during their trials. When Hillary moved to Arkansas, she looked down her nose at what she viewed as ignorant hillbillies. This is the gal that wants to be vice president of corporate America. She also wanted to be CEO previously, and she was on the board of directors of Walmart. Just wanted to mention that.
Vince, may I make a comment?
Yeah, one second. You mentioned that some prices are going up, and I'm going to tell you, what I have seen is that the prices of things that we need, not want, things that we need to continue are going up. Now, what am I talking about? Let me give you a very simple example. Fasteners, nuts and bolts. Nuts and bolts have gone up 35% in the last week as a result of the coronavirus, I believe. Nuts and bolts. Those are the things that hold everything together. Machinery. And they're made in China. They're made in China. And they've gone up 35% in 1 week. Now, the price of other things you don't need, some of those prices are going down, like televisions. Some of those prices are going down. You can literally buy a 50-inch television right now for $199 and change. We'll say $200 plus tax, and tax. So those are a couple of my comments. I like to put actual facts, things that I've seen firsthand, in the discussion, in the class. So, yes, we can talk about generalities, but I'm giving you some specifics. Rich Scheben?
Yeah, that's why I was mentioning words like discretionary income, necessities, and things like that. But I want to make a couple comments of what you said regarding Hillary and things like that.
Sure.
First of all, I think she's fine with admitting that she, switch hits. In fact, Bill Clinton was caught, I remember reading this article a few years ago, was caught on a hot mic saying that Hillary gets more tail than he does, unquote. So I don't think it's a secret. And,
when you say tail, you don't mean tail, you mean women. Hillary gets more women than Bill Clinton gets.
I was using his word.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make sure we define it. And Larry Nichols has been on the air with us a bunch of times. Larry Nichols is from Arkansas, and I met him, and I had lunch with him. Mrs. Finelli and I had lunch with him. I wanted to meet him. So we drove down to Arkansas to meet Larry Nichols. And he's even told a story on air about how Bill Clinton liked women of all kinds, all shapes, and all colors. And yes, I believe on one of those broadcasts he said that quote that you just mentioned about Hillary having more women than sex with more women than Bill did. And this guy was president, and now she wants to be vice president. We'll be right back. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, here we go. Your dial set correctly to USA Prepares. Rich Scheben's with us. I've been thinking about how great everything is. We sold a cow at market for $17. It was 5 cents a pound. There are farms all around us for sale now. Farmers can't make it. We've got Mike Bloomberg, the brilliant financier, telling people that farmers aren't so smart. Okay. Farmers would do okay. The government would get out of our way. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Do you think farmers want to poison people, or do you think that would be Kellogg's? Who's in the business of poisoning people? How about Crest, a toothpaste company, Colgate-Palmolive, How about those guys? Who's actually poisoning people? Is it the farmers? Or is it big business? Is it the ilk like of Bloomberg? Who's actually destroying the planet? Is it companies like General Electric? You know, with their nuclear reactors that fail because of poor design? Who is it that's littering the ocean? Is it big companies and corporations and government, or who hauls the trash out and dumps it in the ocean? Who does that? Is that you? Is that me? No. That'd be big organizations. Greed. Greed at an industrial scale. Who is it that takes fly ash, incinerator waste? You know, that gray ash that comes out of incinerators. Who is it takes that and mixes that with fertilizer to extend fertilizer? So if you have 10-10-10 fertilizer, it's 10%, 10% plus 10%, 30% fertilizer, and 70% something else, like fly ash. Who is it that does that? Would that be you or me? No. That'd be industry, big industry, the fertilizer industry. Who is it that injects animals to make them grow real fast, so they can spend less time raising the animals and can kill them quicker, more quickly, and get them processed and put in a package so that you can buy it at the Chinese factory outlet? Who does that? Oh, I guess that would be companies like the chickens companies. You know that chickens now, their immune system is so poor that there are chicken companies in Missouri and elsewhere that have signs and fences around them that say, do not enter, do not come in here. You can't come in here because if your tires on your truck have something from someplace else, it could kill our entire house of chickens. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30,000 chickens. It's true. Since when? Since when are chickens' immune systems so fragile that they can't have any outside bacteria? Since when? Since we've made factory chicken farms. Who's involved with Purdue? I think that would be the Clintons. So if you just want a taste of what's coming, there you have it. And Mike Bloomberg saying anybody can be a farmer. But it takes a lot more gray matter to think and analyze enough to work within the tech field. Oh, so exactly what has the tech field done? Well, I guess that would be Facebook, and they're spying. Apple, and they're spying. Verizon, triangulating people by their cell phones, capturing images. People say, look at me, look at me, look at me. They put those images on the internet. Those are all captured and stored. I guess it takes a lot of gray matter to do that. It takes a special kind of gray matter to think that way. I don't think that way. Why would I want to invade somebody's privacy like Zuckerberg? It's immoral. It's immoral to be a homo. I am a card-carrying homophobe. I don't want to be around those people. They carry diseases. They engage in risky behaviors. I don't want any part of it. And I certainly don't want someone like that running the corporate USA. I don't want it.
Vince, may I throw in my 2 cents here?
I'm hoping that you would, because the next things I would say would really be awful.
Okay, let me take the microphone for a few here. First of all, I just want to put an exclamation point on what you were talking about regarding food and farming and things like that. Keep in mind, GMOs cause cancer, organ failure, and changes your DNA. And GMOs technology, you can put antibiotics and bacteria and Roundup in seeds. You've heard of Roundup Ready, and you know basically what Roundup is glyphosate. Read the ingredients in this stuff. It's linked to cancer. It's linked to everything. And just remember, not only did Congress protect Monsanto, and still might be, from liability, 96% of Monsanto shareholders voted to not disclose GMO ingredients. So this is why it's so important, folks, to build your own immune system and create your own raised beds, because the vitamins and minerals come from the soil. The enzyme act as catalyst for biochemical reaction, which aids in digestion and nutrient support. That's why you want to try to eat, at least during the summer months, your food raw, and definitely don't cook it over 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's so many things in our foods, from propylene glycol to aspartame to MSG under multi-names, many dozen names, that's all designed to be addictive. So being a farmer is a very ethical practice. Now, Vince, I just want to comment on what you said regarding, and I know we differ a little bit, but I don't know if you're totally hearing what I'm saying regarding the homosexual community. They admit it's immoral, because when all this started, and I'm not trying to protect them, I'm just trying to look at other criteria. And let me finish. No one disagrees with you that it's immoral for two men to lie beside each other, not just because the Bible says it, but they literally had admissions to, when this started coming out a few years ago, for the vote, not for the people, is they were saying that you cannot legislate morals. That's a total admission to the fact that it is immoral. I remember people were coming out basically selling the concept by saying that fox and coyotes do it in the wild, so why can't we? And obviously that holds no water. But I just think there's a couple of things that really need, and there's no statistics because it's being purged. There's things that people need to know. There's estrogen mimickers in all of our food and water. What if you knew, folks, that you were biologically, chemically, and politically correctly forced to change your lifestyle, your habits, your way of thinking? This is very possible. And a lot of children are being raped by pedophiles, young kids who have trauma. This is major trauma. Now, I'm not trying to protect people who get screwed up in their mind and do things that they shouldn't do. I'm just saying that we need to look at a lot of these pedophiles. I mean, pedophilia is, this dark money is big. It's not adult mutual consensual sex. And I think a lot of these kids that go through this kind of really harsh trauma end up doing things that they don't want to do later in life. So if it's okay with you, Vince, I don't know how much steam's coming out of your ears right now, but I was wondering if I could mention a few more articles to wake up the people to the corruption, the propaganda, and the double standards. Is that okay?
Yeah, and I hope we're going to get a chance to talk about how 33% of Americans run out of money before payday, even those earning over $100,000. Let's talk about that too. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, subprime auto loans are exploding right now. Delinquencies, bankruptcies. You know, we've talked about this many, many, many times. This is why I dovetail financial, economic, social, and political issues along with political correctness. You think the global elites really care about you? Here's another article. Global elites shun of commercial airlines. They look to private jets as coronavirus surges. Well, whatever happened to global warming? See, it's all hypocrisy, it's double standards, it's false flags, it's hoaxes. Bezos spends more money on Beverly Hills home than he pays for Amazon in taxes. And he's just put $10 billion into the kitty just the other day to create more propaganda for climate change, because this is the big item ticket to control the people by the elites. Next article, gun-free Britain, nearly 10,000 gun crimes committed in 1 year. Oh yeah, let's get rid of our guns, folks. Next article, you just mentioned Zuckerberg. He calls for government regulation of social media. That's code for getting rid of the alternative media, getting rid of truth, and putting more money into propaganda, lies, gaslighting, false flags, and hoaxes. Next article, UNC, University of North Carolina study. Liberals are substantially more intolerant than conservatives. Imagine my shock. I think if this wasn't even done by a university, it would have been 1,000-fold, not just substantially more intolerant. Next article, Colin Kaepernick demanded absurdly high salary to play in the XFL. He doesn't care. He was a multimillionaire already, sued the NFL for discrimination just so they can create more division in race wars, and he got $50-60 million under the table. Next article, George Soros removes Zuckerberg from Facebook now. He'll get Trump elected. This is called good cop, bad cop, folks. They're on the same team. We'll be back after the break.
You really cannot fully depend on ratings from users. You really can't. And I'm gonna just read 2 sentences to you. I wanted to buy a well pressure tank for the farm. And this is a tank that you have a well pump, and you pump the water into a pressure tank so that every time you turn on a faucet, or every time a toilet is flushed, or every time the cow's water trough needs to be refilled, the well pump doesn't come on every time you just crack the faucet a little bit. So what happens is you pump water into a tank, and then there's pressure in the tank, air pressure, that pushes the water out when you need it, so that you don't have to run the well pump every single time that you use a little bit of water. It's a great way to go, and it's been around for probably darn close to 80 years or more with wells, water wells. So I wanted to buy a well pressure tank, and I was reading the reviews from customers who bought them. And I'm going to read this verbatim, and I'm just going to show you how stupid we've become and how you can't trust reviews. And I'm going to read this verbatim. Quote, customers report that this water tank, if the order will fork over on time, comma, will easily install and set out the operation within a little span of time, making no fuss at all. And I repeat that. Customers report that this water tank, if the order will fork over on time, comma, will easily install and set out the operation within a little span of time, making no fuss at all. That's what a moron has said about a well pressure tank. What I'm trying to communicate to you is people don't know how to deliver their thoughts in a written or the spoken form. They don't know how to do it. We've lost our way. We're as dumb as a box of rocks. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse. I bought an item at Sam's Club, and I'll even tell you what it is. I wanted to have a television in the studio that I could watch from a distance, YouTube videos. And I set out to find one that was not a smart television. And I found one for $229, shipped from Sam's Club. I ordered it. It's made by Hitachi. I have a Hitachi hammer drill here at the farm, and I thought that's pretty good. It's lasted almost 30 years so far. It's still going strong. Maybe they make good TVs. Well, in my opinion, the TVs they make, at least this one, was junk. It had a defect. It had a vertical white multicolored stripe going up the side of it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it made everybody fat. You know, if you look at a person's body, it doubled their size almost. I didn't like it. So I immediately put it back in the box with all the packing, all the parts, everything, the remote, the adapter cables, brought it to Sam's Club, and I left the box open. The box was not dinged, damaged, cut, folded, spindled, mutilated in any way. It was perfect condition. Brought it back to Sam's Club, and I said, I'd like to return this. The box is open so that you can inspect it and make sure it's all there, you know, without reopening it. And Mrs. Finelli and I left it on the cart. And the gal said, is there anything wrong with it? And I said, yes. Here's what's wrong with it. It has a vertical white and multicolored stripe over here on the screen. And I showed her on one of their demo screens. They called the guy over from electronics. He was an older guy. And he started to take it off the cart all by himself from one end. And I went over to help him. He got mad at me. He was annoyed. So I stepped back, and I said, you know, it's open on the other side. You don't have to open it. It's open. And he got mad at me again. And then Mrs. Finelli went to say something, and he put his arm up like he was going to block her, you know, like he's directing traffic at an intersection, saying, don't come here. Put his arm outstretched. This is Sam's Club. So the gal at the customer service department at Sam's Club called over the guy from electronics, and he was really gruff and abrasive and offensive. And after he inspected the box that the television came in, he found everything was there. It was packed as it was originally packed. No fingerprints. I mean, it was just in, you know, brand new condition, but it was defective. And while he was being abrasive to me and Mrs. Finelli, both of us, I said to Mrs. Finelli, is there a reason why we have a membership at Sam's Club? I mean, do you know what the reason is? Because I don't. And I said to the gal at customer service, is he always like this? She said, sometimes. I said, I would have fired him 5 minutes ago. Then I asked for the store manager. The store manager came over, and I said, can we talk let's walk away from here and let's talk about it. So I explained to the store manager the situation, how this guy was abrasive, and I'm not going to tolerate being abused and paying for abuse at Sam's Club. I'm not going to do it. And I was trying to think of, you know, why do I go there? Well, we used to buy the meat. We don't buy the meat anymore because we've gotten bad meat, and the dogs won't even eat it, literally. We bring it back. We bought some broccoli, and it smelled so bad in the package, unopened, that it would chase us out of the kitchen, so we brought that back. Got some replacement broccoli, and it smells the same. So I'm trying to think, so exactly why do we go to Sam's Club? I can't think of any reasons anymore. I mentioned to the store manager that we used to buy tires there, but the guys were so rough on our aluminum wheels and alloy wheels, and they'd ding them up with the impact gun. So we don't buy tires, we don't buy batteries anymore, we don't buy meat anymore, we don't buy food anymore, we don't buy glasses anymore. What do you go there for? So I don't think we need to go there anymore. And while I was talking to the store manager with Mrs. Finelli, the three of us, this guy came over, the guy who inspected the television. And I said, that's him. That's the guy. I'd fire him. And so this guy said to all of us, be my guest. And I looked at the store manager and I said, okay, you're fired. And nobody knew what to say. That's Sam's Club now. I despise going to Sam's Club. I really do. They seem to now have the ability to hire people who are just abrasive, rude, and don't mind using their abrasive qualities on the customers. I don't like it. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why people are buying more online, because they frankly just don't want to see people like that in between the products that they want to buy and their wallet. So Sam's knows that this guy is just like this. It's not like he saved it specially for me and Mrs. Finelli. He's like this, but yet they don't fire him. Now, the store manager assured me that she was going to do something about it. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. Probably not so much. So we told the store manager that there's 2 Sam's Clubs in Springfield. We said, you know what? We don't even like coming in here. We go to the other one. It's farther away, but they're nicer over there. We don't like this one. And I think this is just indicative of what happens when we allow the bars and standards to be lowered. We can talk about becoming, tolerant. No, I am not going to become tolerant of things that I don't like. I'm not. I don't like homosexuality. I don't want a homo as president or vice president. I don't want him on the farm. I don't want him anywhere near me. And I'm not going to tolerate people being rude and abrasive and abusive to me when I'm in a store. I'll shop with my wallet. I won't buy there. That's how I feel. So I am increasing my level of intolerance every day. Intolerance. Exactly the opposite of what the media is telling you need to be. And since when do employees think they have the right to have purple hair? Since when? Sam's doesn't seem to mind. They have employees with multicultural hair. Since when is that acceptable? It's disgusting. Why do I want to take advice from somebody, anybody, who looks like that? Why? It's saying, I'm stupid. I'm reckless. I'm careless. May I help you? No, you can't help me. Rich Scheben?
Well, Vince, we discussed this example yesterday, and you told me I was right on. What's happened is we've lowered the bars of standards and expectations for a job based on what group you're in. So work has now been delegitimized. There's no dignity to work. There's no value to work. There's no appreciation of work. This is what political correctness has done. This is why the attrition rate is the way it is. And if it's okay, Vince, with you, I would like to go through a few more articles real quick because I think they're very important regarding the corruption, propaganda, double standards, and waking up of people, if I may.
Absolutely. But, class,
thank you, sir.
Please support Joe Biden because he is so inept. He will be, if he gets selected as the Democrat candidate, he will probably do the least amount of damage of all of them. So we need to have him be the candidate so President Donald Trump can expose the criminality of the Democrats running for president.
Well, I'll tell you, Vince, with all the corruption coming out of Ukraine, with everything that Barack Obama has done, and there's a long list of scandals, by the way, not just the ones I mentioned today. I'm going to spend one day just actually talking about that. But one of the things, and this is from the Daily Beast, Joe Biden told a group of black leaders that black parents cannot read. So I doubt he's going to be, black people aren't that dumb. The Democrat Party hired Margaret Sanger, who's a diehard Democrat, to put 85% of the Planned Parenthoods in black neighborhoods to keep the black population at bay. She was actually caught on audio and video saying this. The KKK started with Democrats. The first Republicans were black. I mean, believe me, I'd be shocked if blacks in general vote for Democrats. So anyway, next article. Virginia passes bill to give electoral votes to popular vote winner. This is anti-Constitution. Next article, Virginia lawmakers vow to allow illegal aliens to obtain driver's licenses. So you'll pay for the insurance through cost shifting, folks. This is all for the vote. Next article, Rob Reiner says we have a criminal in our White House. Well, Rob Reiner wouldn't even have a microphone if it wasn't for his director, producer, actor, daddy, who gave him the ability to even get on to television. Next article, Joy Behar, Trump is lawless. Well, Joy Behar is the person who said that all of the so-called rape victims from Bill Clinton were tramps. Next article, Spielberg has already given $3.5 million to Democrats, including Iowa caucus app. See, what they're trying to do, folks, is they're trying to create apps and new methodologies for counting votes so they can steal elections through fraud and voter fraud. I wish I could spend a whole show on this. I just don't have the time. Next article, lead juror in Roger Stone trial was left-wing former political candidate who despises Trump, and there's texts and information to prove this. So all they do is load up if they want to get you and they want to put you in jail, they just load up the jurors with bought and paid for people, and it's all a done deal. Next article, very, very red flag here, folks. Ilhan Omar, you know who she is, the one who married her brother? She's the one who says Hispanics can't compete in a meritocracy. You remember her. Well, she revealed the globalist foreign policy wish list. I'm not going to go through them all. They're very disturbing, but the last one is she wants the U.S. to cede sovereignty to the United Nations. We have treason and sedition and espionage and racketeering everywhere. This is why I said in my earlier presentation that patriots, conservative authors, alternative media are doing the work that the mainstream media, elite, academia, lawyers, judges, politicians, bankers, intelligence agencies, State Department, DOJ, National Security Council will not do. In fact, they will take your money and spend it on cover-ups instead. Next article, Rand Paul. It's a chilling day in America when YouTube censors my speech on the Senate floor. This is called a totalitarian, socialist, communist, dictatorship, tyrannical government. That's what this is called. Trump, next article, Trump faces 4 times the amount of lawsuits as Obama. So the powers that be do not want the people to have a voice anymore because Trump is pro-Constitution, pro-Bill of Rights, pro-First and Second Amendment especially, and pro for the little people. Next article, Amy Klobuchar. English should not be the national language. Not making this up, folks. These are all published articles in the public domain. Next article, Amnesty Amy sang a different tune in 2006. She called for order at the border, a wall, and mandatory E-Verify. You see, folks, the people who are bought and paid for can no longer think for themselves because they signed on to an agenda. They're owned. Next article, Streisand says Trump is directly responsible for hate against children, even though Obama built all those pictures with the cages. That was during his era. And just FYI, Barbara Streisand was the one who said that Michael Jackson, his sexual needs are his sexual needs in the context of pedophilia. And she also flew her dogs 10,000 miles on a jet, creating a huge carbon footprint so her dogs could hear her sing. Look it up. Could be purged, but I remember reading that. Next article. Wuhan mother speaks out. China is hiding the truth from the world. See, this is what, if the Democrats get elected, folks, anybody but Trump gets elected. And Trump is far from perfect. I criticize him all the time. Like, here's an article right here. Trump says that the tech monopolies are mega, make America great. No, they're not. If Trump does not fix censorship and surveillance, which is tightly associated with voter and election fraud, he will lose, which means the little people will lose. Well, Vince, I'm going to Last segment coming up. I've taken too much of their time. I'm going to let you chime in. I appreciate you letting me exercise my First Amendment right, buddy. We'll be back after the break, folks.
And I just want to let you know that there are 3 RK gun shows this weekend. Oh, I'm sorry. No. There's one this weekend, February 22nd and 23rd, Lebanon, Missouri. I might go to that one. There's another one, February 28th and March 1st in Joplin, Missouri. There's another one, February 29th and March 1st at February 29th through March 1st in Knoxville, Tennessee. So, you may want to get your guns, rifle, pistol, shotgun, and ammunition. Got 22s? Someday you'll know what I mean by that. And what I mean is 22 long rifles. I believe you're going to need them. So you'll figure out later why I keep saying this. All right, so, Rich, couple comments. In topping off supplies, one of our boys thought it'd be a good idea to go to Aldi. And he bought a case of dehydrated potatoes with some kind of a dehydrated cheese, like for emergencies. They were so bad. We threw it out. Like one taste, and it's disgusting. Brought the whole case back to Aldi. He bought some canned hams. He thought, well, they've got a long expiration date. Maybe that would be good. And it's chopped pieces, parts of, it's awful. The house brand of canned hams from Aldi. Awful. Aldi seems to be specializing in coming out with lousy products lately. I don't know what's with those guys. They used to be great. We loved them. Now I'm skeptical. So we brought them back. Now, here's that intolerance thing that's increasing every day. When we buy a product that's bad, we're not going to tolerate it. We're going to bring it back. And we want our money back. And so one of the boys bought a bag of potatoes at the Chinese factory outlet. They like 5 or 10 pound bag. You've seen them. And these were large potatoes. And the bag concealed the automated machinery that digs them out of the ground. They were sliced and cut up. They were just badly mangled. But you couldn't tell until you opened the bag and took some out. We returned those. So here's my suggestion. If you get a lousy product, you buy it at the Chinese factory outlet, you buy it at Aldi's, wherever you buy it. If you expect better, bring it back. And if enough of us bring these lousy products back, somebody's going to say, you know what, maybe we shouldn't sell this anymore. Maybe they'll beat up their suppliers and say, you know what, we're having so many problems with you, we can't deal with you anymore. And the word will get out, and these other suppliers will do a better job. That's what we need to do. But I got to tell you, let me give you another example. So at Aldi, there's a sign on the refrigerated, glass-doored refrigerated area where they're selling eggs. And they had eggs for, I think, 38 cents a dozen, which is great. White eggs, 38 cents a dozen. But there was a sign that said, limit, 3 eggs. So there was a lady there, and I said, well, you can't buy that. You can only get 3. We got to find 4 people to buy, a dozen eggs. So it's you and me, we got to get 2 more people because they have a limit of 3 eggs each. What kind of a moron would put a sign on the door saying limit 3 eggs? They don't mean 3 eggs. They mean 3 cartons of eggs. But it says limit 3 eggs. We have lost our ability to communicate. Thank you, Bill Gates. Thank you, Steve Jobs. The smartphones, young people don't communicate. Our son said to me yesterday during the break, I went into the kitchen. He said, hey, Dad, just a second. I said, I got to go. He said, just real quickly, would you rather me see a girl that has tattoos, or would you rather me see a girl that has fewer tattoos and a child, or would you rather me see a girl that has no tattoos and 2 children? I said, become a priest.
Well, we talked about this the other day too, Vince. It's very disturbing that because of the loss of communication skills, it's created a loss of confidence. Back in the day, we all used to meet, at supermarkets or bars or grocery stores or wherever and have conversations and meet people. And now there's no confidence in young people. And heck, I got young women telling me that they don't even want to get married because they feel half the men are going to be transgender in a few years. So, this system, this is why I talk about, I'm not trying to butt heads with you regarding the morality of two men lying together. I'm just trying to say that the estrogen mimickers, we're being biologically and chemically changed. And I think if these people knew, never mind the pedophilia raping, if people knew that they were being changed, they would be pissed off. And people have to wake up to everything, the fluoride, the chemicals, the estrogen mimickers, everything. They have to be aware of it. They have to talk about it, read and research and know about it.
Yeah, and if you want fewer estrogen mimickers contacting your skin, rinse your clothes twice. Put them on the spin cycle and rinse them twice. Get that soap off with the estrogen mimickers. Rich, thank you so much for being with us.